The black limousine glided down Central Avenue like a silent shadow. Inside it, Daniel Harper adjusted his Italian tie while reviewing contracts on his tablet. Beside him, little Emma, only 6 years old, pressed her face against the tinted glass, watching the city lights blink like earthly stars. "Daddy, can I open the window?" The girl's sweet voice barely pierced Daniel's concentration. "No, sweetheart. It's cold outside." He didn't even lift his eyes from the numbers on the screen. The car slowed near the traffic light. That was when Emma saw her. A hunched figure on the corner, wrapped in dirty blankets, holding something against her chest. The woman rocked back and forth, humming a melody that Emma couldn't hear through the glass. "Daddy, look at that lady." Daniel cast a quick, uninterested glance. Just another homeless person. The city was full of them. He returned his attention to the financial report he needed to approve before the morning meeting. "Daddy." The urgency in Emma's voice finally made him look at his daughter. The girl's blue eyes were wide, fixed on the figure on the sidewalk. "What is it, Emma?" The answer came in a trembling whisper that froze Daniel's blood. "It's Mommy." The world seemed to stop. Daniel felt the air escape his lungs as if he had been punched in the stomach. Impossible. Catherine had been dead for 4 years. He had identified the body at the morgue. He had organized the funeral. He had cried over the sealed coffin. "Emma, don't say nonsense." His voice came out harsher than he intended. "But it's her, Daddy." "I know it is." The girl was already trying to open the door, her little fingers struggling against the safety lock. The driver, Carlos, looked in the rearview mirror waiting for instructions. The traffic light turned green. Cars honked behind them. "Drive on," Daniel ordered, his voice firm despite his racing heart. "No." Emma screamed, something she had never done before. Tears streamed down her rosy face. "Daddy, stop the car." Daniel had never seen his daughter so desperate. Against all his rational instincts, he heard his own voice say, "Carlos, pull over up ahead." The car stopped a few meters from the corner. Daniel got out first, the night breeze cutting through his $3,000 suit. Emma slipped away before he could stop her, running back along the sidewalk. "Emma, come back here." He ran after her, his heart pounding wildly. The girl stopped just a few steps from the hunched figure. Now Daniel could see better. A young woman, maybe in her early 30s, with tangled hair hiding her face. She held a battered teddy bear against her chest, rocking it as if it were a real baby. And she was singing. My God, she was singing. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." The world spun beneath Daniel's feet. That voice. Hoarse, broken, but unmistakable. Catherine used to sing that song to Emma when she was a baby. Every night, without exception. "Mommy." Emma called softly. The woman stopped singing. Slowly, very slowly, she lifted her face. Daniel felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. The face was thinner, marked by scars and dirt. But the eyes. Those honey-colored eyes he had loved since their first meeting at the university. Eyes he had seen lifeless on a hospital gurney. "Catherine." His voice came out like a strangled whisper. The woman blinked, confused. Her gaze wandered from Daniel to Emma, then back to the teddy bear in her arms. "I can't talk now. My baby is sleeping." She went back to rocking the toy, murmuring the song. Emma began to cry silently. Daniel felt something burn in his throat, a mixture of horror and impossibility. "Mr. Harper, is everything okay?" Carlos had approached, worried. Nothing was okay. Nothing made sense. His wife was dead. He had remarried 2 years earlier to Lisa, a kind woman who tried to be a mother to Emma. They had a structured, predictable, safe life. And now this. "Catherine, it's me. Daniel. Do you recognize me?" The woman lifted her eyes again, and for a brief second, something seemed to flicker there. Recognition? Fear? But then she hugged the teddy bear tighter and backed away, shrinking against the wall. "Don't take my baby. Please, don't take my baby." Emma sobbed louder, and Daniel pulled her close, shielding her against his chest. His mind raced in 1,000 directions. DNA test. Hospitals. Police. Lawyers. Lisa. How would he explain this to Lisa? But before everything else, a single question hammered in his brain, demanding an answer. If Catherine had been alive all these years, where had she been? And why was she living on the streets like a stranger, with no memory of her own family? Daniel took off his coat and, ignoring the woman's frightened recoil, gently placed it over her trembling shoulders. "I will help you," he promised, more to himself than to her. "I swear I'll find out what happened." The woman didn't respond. She just kept singing to the teddy bear, lost in a world only she could see. If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Leave a comment telling us what you thought and which city or country you are watching from. Your participation is very important to us. The night swallowed the three of them there on that corner, while the city carried on indifferently around them. Daniel knew his life had just shattered once again. And this time, he didn't know if he would be able to gather the pieces. Daniel did not sleep that night. Sitting in the office of his mansion, he held a framed photo of Catherine. Her radiant smile on their wedding day mocked the cruel reality he had just witnessed on the street. Lisa appeared at the doorway, wearing her blue silk robe. "Aren't you coming to bed? I need to take care of some work matters." The lie came more easily than it should have. She sighed, used to her husband's sleepless nights. Emma had nightmares again. She called out for her mother 3 times. Lisa paused. Her biological mother, I mean. Guilt squeezed Daniel's chest like a vice. Lisa had been patient, understanding, loving with Emma. She didn't deserve what was about to happen. As soon as Lisa returned to the bedroom, Daniel picked up the phone. 3 in the morning. It didn't matter. He dialed the number of Robert Mitchell, his personal lawyer and friend of 2 decades. "This better be life or death, Daniel," Robert answered in a sleepy voice. "I need you to investigate someone. Discreetly." "At this hour? Who?" Daniel took a deep breath. "My first wife." Silence on the other end of the line. Then, "Catherine is dead, Daniel. I was at the funeral. I saw her today. Alive." Another silence, longer this time. "Have you been drinking?" "I'm completely sober." Emma recognized her first. That woman on the corner of Central Avenue, near the theater. She was singing the song Catherine used to sing to Emma. Same voice. Same eyes. And she had a scar here. Daniel touched his own forehead. In the same place where Catherine hit her head in the accident. Robert let out a low whistle. "If this is true, do you understand the implications? Your marriage to Lisa could technically be invalid. Catherine's inheritance, the assets you assumed after her death, the life insurance you received." "I know." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "That's why I need to be sure before this leaks out. I need answers. I'll put my best investigator on it." "But Daniel, if it really is her, where has she been for these 4 years? Why didn't she come home?" That was the question eating Daniel alive. "I don't know. She didn't seem to recognize me. She was holding a teddy bear as if it were a real baby. She spoke strangely, disconnected. Amnesia. Or something worse." The next morning, Daniel took Emma to school himself, something rare in his routine. The girl was quiet, staring out the window with a distant expression. "Emma, about last night on the street." "It was Mommy," she interrupted, her small voice firm. "Sweetheart, Mommy has been gone for a long time. Sometimes when we really want something to be true, our imagination." "I know it was her," Emma shouted, turning toward him with eyes shining with tears. "She sang my song. No one else sings it like that." Daniel parked in front of the school, his heart broken. "I'll find out the truth. I promise." Emma looked at him with a maturity frightening for a 6-year-old. "You promise, but you don't believe me." She got out of the car and walked into the school without looking back. Daniel punched the steering wheel in frustration. Throughout the entire board meeting that morning, Daniel couldn't focus. The numbers, charts, and profit projections seemed absurd compared to what he was facing. His phone vibrated. A message from Robert. "I found something. I need to see you. Urgent." Daniel left the meeting in the middle of a presentation, ignoring the surprised looks of the executives. He met Robert at a discreet cafe far from the business district. The lawyer slid a folder across the table. I pulled the hospital records from the accident 4 years ago. The body you identified had the same general characteristics as Catherine, but there was a car fire. Identification was based mainly on personal documents found at the scene and your verbal confirmation. Daniel felt nausea rise in his throat. Are you saying I identified the wrong person? I'm saying the identification was rushed. The coroner had 16 cases that week. There was pressure to release bodies quickly. Robert opened the folder. But there's more. I found a record of a Jane Doe admitted to the municipal hospital the same night as Catherine's accident. Severe head trauma, no documents, no identification. She was in a coma for 3 weeks. Daniel's heart raced. What happened to her? She disappeared from the hospital after waking up. She simply walked out, still disoriented. No one went after her. She was just another homeless person to the system. Robert paused heavily. Daniel, I compared the photo of that Jane Doe scar with the description of Catherine's injury in the accident report. They're identical. Daniel buried his head in his hands. 4 years. Catherine had been alive, alone, lost, while he moved on, remarried, built a new life. There's more, Robert continued. I spoke to nurses who were on duty when she woke up. They said she kept repeating a name. Emma. And she constantly sang a children's song. Tears burned Daniel's eyes. My God. What have I done? You didn't know. No one knew. I should have looked harder. I should have demanded more tests, more confirmation. He slammed his fist on the table, drawing the attention of other customers. Robert waited for him to calm down. The question now is, what are you going to do? Daniel wiped his eyes, determination hardening his features. I'm bringing my wife home. And Lisa. She deserves the truth. His voice broke. Everyone deserves the truth. That afternoon, Daniel returned to the corner where he had found Catherine. She wasn't there. He searched the surrounding streets, asked other homeless people, showed her old photo. An elderly man wrapped in newspapers pointed to an alley. The singing lady? She sleeps there. But be careful. She doesn't like strangers. She gets scared. Daniel found her crouched behind a dumpster, the teddy bear clutched tightly to her chest. When she saw him, she tried to pull away. Catherine, please. I won't hurt you. He knelt slowly, dirtying his $1,000 suit. My name is Daniel. And I'm going to take care of you. Do you hear me? I'm going to fix all of this. She studied him with empty eyes, and for a terrible moment, Daniel thought he had lost forever the woman he loved. But then she whispered, so softly he almost didn't hear it, Do you know Emma? And Daniel's heart shattered and filled with hope at the same time. Daniel did not take Catherine home that night. He knew it would be too big a shock, too fast. Instead, he discreetly rented a small, cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood. He hired a trauma-specialized nurse, Sarah, a 50-year-old woman with kind eyes and infinite patience. She's going to resist at first, Sarah explained as she prepared the space. People with dissociative amnesia build an alternative reality to protect the mind from something too painful to process. Forcing memories can be dangerous. How long will it take? Daniel asked, watching Catherine curled up on the couch, still clutching the teddy bear. There is no timeline for healing the human mind, Mr. Harper. Every night after work, Daniel visited the apartment. At first, Catherine barely acknowledged him. He sat on the floor, keeping a respectful distance, and simply talked. He spoke about Emma, about their early years together, about small moments he had forgotten until now. She has your eyes, he said on the third night. And your stubbornness too. The other day, she insisted on wearing a princess dress to school. No one could convince her otherwise. Catherine lifted her gaze from the teddy bear. Something flickered in her eyes, a distant spark. Emma likes princesses? Daniel's heart nearly stopped. It was the first time she showed real interest. She loves them. But her favorite isn't the typical one. She likes the warrior princess, the one who fights with a sword. A ghost of a smile touched Catherine's lips. Strong. Yes. Like her mother. Meanwhile, at home, Daniel faced another dilemma. Lisa was not foolish. She noticed the constant absences, the secret phone calls, the growing distance between them. "Are you having an affair?" she asked one night, her voice more tired than accusatory. Daniel looked at the woman who had been his partner for 2 years. She deserved more than half-truths. "It's not that. Lisa, I need to tell you something that will change everything between us." He told her. Every detail. The encounter on the street, the investigation, the truth about Catherine. Lisa listened in silence, her face gradually turning pale. "You still love her," it wasn't a question. "I never stopped." The honesty hurt them both. Lisa wiped her tears with grace. "I always knew I was competing with a ghost. But finding out the ghost is alive," she let out a bitter laugh. "You need to take care of her, Daniel. And of Emma. They need you. And you. I'll survive. I always have." She touched his face tenderly. "Just promise me one thing. Make it worth it. All this suffering, all this confusion. Make it worth it." The separation was discreet and respectful. Lisa moved to the apartment she kept downtown, refusing any financial arrangement beyond what was fair. Emma cried, but understood more than a child should. "Lisa isn't bad," Emma said as Daniel tucked her into bed. "But she isn't Mommy." "No, sweetheart. She isn't. When can I see my real Mommy?" Daniel kissed his daughter's forehead. "Soon. She just needs to remember who she is first." But the weeks passed, and Catherine remained trapped in her fragmented world. Sarah tried gentle exposure therapy, showing old photos, playing meaningful songs. There were moments of clarity, brief and painful, followed by setbacks. The turning point came on an ordinary afternoon. Daniel arrived at the apartment and found Catherine in the kitchen, without the teddy bear for the first time. She held a mug of tea with both hands, staring out the window. "Sarah told me I lost 4 years of my life," she said without turning around. Her voice sounded different, clearer, more present. 4 years wandering without knowing who I was." Daniel froze in the doorway. "Catherine. I still don't remember everything." She finally looked at him, and her eyes were lucid, aware. "But I remember the accident. The car rolling over. The pain. The fear." Her voice broke. "And a little girl calling me Mommy. I had a daughter. I have a daughter." Daniel crossed the room in 3 steps and embraced her. She let herself be held, crying against his chest. "Where is she? Where is Emma? Why didn't you bring her here? She must be so angry with me, thinking I abandoned her." The words poured out in desperate torrents. "She was never angry. She knew. From the very first moment she saw you on the street, she knew it was you." Daniel pulled back to look into her eyes. "She recognized you by the song." Catherine covered her face with her hands. "I was singing. I didn't know why, but I sang to that teddy bear every night. It was as if my body remembered even when my mind didn't." "A mother's love doesn't need memory," Daniel whispered. "It exists beyond reason." Sarah appeared in the bedroom doorway, smiling. "This is significant progress. But we need to go slowly. Reconnecting with her daughter must be carefully planned." Catherine grabbed Daniel's hand. "I don't want to wait anymore. I've already lost too much time." 3 days later, Daniel prepared everything meticulously. A picnic in the park they used to visit before the accident. Nothing too formal or intimidating. Just a mother meeting her daughter again. Emma arrived running before Daniel had even fully parked. Catherine was sitting on the blanket, her hair now clean and neatly combed, wearing simple but appropriate clothes. When she saw Emma, she stood up slowly. For a terrible moment, no one moved. Then Emma whispered, "Mommy." "Yes, baby. It's me." Emma ran into her arms, and Catherine picked her up, spinning her around like they had years ago. Both were crying and laughing at the same time, and Daniel had to turn his face away to hide his own tears. "You sang my song," Emma said against her mother's neck. "I knew it was you because of the song." Catherine began to sing, her voice still trembling but growing stronger. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Emma continued, "You make me happy when skies are gray." Daniel watched the two of them, his family finally reunited, and felt something he hadn't felt in 4 long years, genuine hope. The road ahead would be difficult, full of therapy, adjustments, and and complicated explanations. But as he listened to Catherine and Emma singing together, he knew every challenge would be worth it. The healing would not be fast or perfect, but it would be real. 3 months after the reunion in the park, Catherine was almost fully integrated into the family routine. Her memories returned in fragments, some sweet, others painful. Therapy with Sarah continued, but she was now living in the mansion again, staying in the guest room while they rebuilt their relationship. Emma was radiant. Her mother took her to school, helped with homework, read stories before bed. Everything finally seemed to be falling into place. Until that Thursday afternoon. Daniel was in his office when he received a call from Robert. "I need to talk to you. In person. Now." The alarmed tone of the lawyer made Daniel leave immediately. They met at the same discreet cafe from months earlier. Robert placed documents on the table with trembling hands. "Daniel, I kept investigating. I wanted to close every loose end in the case." He paused painfully. "I found something you need to know." "What is it?" "That night of the accident. It wasn't an accident." Daniel's blood froze. "What are you saying?" Robert opened a file with old police reports. "I reviewed everything. The original forensic analysis was superficial, but a retired investigator who worked the case gave me details that were never included in the official report. Catherine's car brakes were sabotaged." Daniel felt the world spin. Sabotaged? By whom? That's the worst part. Robert took a deep breath. "There's a bank trail. 3 days before the accident, there was a transfer of $50,000 from an offshore account to a mechanic with a criminal record. I traced the source." He slid another document across the table. The account was controlled by Thomas Brennan. The name hit Daniel like a gunshot. Thomas Brennan. His partner at the time. The man he had trusted with half of his business. Thomas? That makes no sense. Why would he? "Because you were about to discover he had been siphoning millions from the company," Robert interrupted. "Catherine had uncovered irregularities in the accounting books. She came to you on the day of the accident to show you evidence. It's all here." He showed recovered old emails. Thomas knew that if Catherine told you, he would go to prison. Daniel read the emails, each word a stab wound. Catherine had written, "Daniel, I need to talk to you urgently. I found something terrible in the records. Thomas is stealing from you. I have proof." She never got the chance to show that proof. The accident happened 2 hours after that email. "Where is Thomas now?" Daniel's voice was dangerously low. "Still your partner. Still has access to everything." Robert paused. "And Daniel, there's more. Thomas knows Catherine is alive." Daniel's heart raced. "How?" "Someone posted a photo of the 3 of you at the park 2 weeks ago. It was discreet, but it was on social media. A familiar face in public. Thomas has contacts all over the city. If he tried to kill Catherine once." Daniel stood up so fast he knocked the chair over. "My daughter is with her right now." He dialed home as he ran to the car. No answer. He called Catherine's cell phone. Nothing. He tried the house line again. Silence. Panic was a living creature inside him. 15 minutes to the mansion. 15 eternal minutes. When he arrived, the front door was ajar. Broken glass was scattered across the entry hall. Daniel's heart stopped. Catherine. Emma. He ran through the house, checking every room. Empty kitchen. Empty living room. When he reached the upstairs floor, he found Emma's bedroom ransacked. Toys scattered, drawers pulled open. Clear signs of a struggle. In the middle of the mess, there was a scribbled note. Handwriting he recognized immediately. "Thomas. You owe me 4 years of profits. I want 10 million by midnight or your family disappears permanently this time. Come alone to the old warehouse at the port. No police, no lawyers. You know I have enough connections to make them vanish." Daniel held the paper with trembling hands. Rage burned through his veins, mixed with icy fear. He called Robert. He took them. "Call the police, Daniel." "He'll kill them if I do." "I'm going." "Then don't go alone. At least let me." No, Daniel was already going down the stairs, grabbing his car keys. This is between me and him. The abandoned warehouse at the port smelled of rust and salt water. Daniel entered alone, a briefcase with $10 million in portable gold bars in his hands. Technically impossible to trace. Thomas was waiting for him in the center of the empty space, a gun pointed casually downward. Behind him, Catherine and Emma were tied to chairs, gagged but apparently unharmed. Emma's eyes were wide with fear. Catherine struggled against the ropes. Punctual as always, Thomas smiled. Did you bring the money? Daniel set the briefcase on the floor. Let them go first. Do you think I'm an idiot? Thomas kicked the briefcase, opening it to check the contents. 10 million. It's a good start. Start. You built an empire on my back, Daniel. I did the dirty work while you took the glory. Now I'm going to take what's mine. Daniel took a step forward. You tried to kill my wife. You killed an innocent person in the process. You stole from me, lied to me. And you never suspected a thing, Thomas laughed. Because you were always too arrogant to see what was happening under your nose. That was when Catherine managed to spit out the gag. Her voice came out clear and firm, but this time you made a mistake, Thomas. Thomas turned toward her, confused. In that split second of distraction, Daniel attacked. He had practiced martial arts in his youth, muscle memory reacting instantly. He took Thomas down before he could raise the gun. The shot echoed through the empty warehouse, missing them both. The two men struggled for control of the weapon when police stormed the space, lights and sirens exploding in the darkness. Police. Drop the weapon. Thomas was subdued in seconds. Daniel ran to Catherine and Emma, untying them with trembling fingers. Robert appeared behind the officers. Sorry, my friend. I couldn't let you go alone. I tracked your phone and called the police as soon as you left the house. Daniel embraced Catherine and Emma, all three of them shaking. How did you know where we were? A detective stepped forward. We received an anonymous tip 40 minutes ago. Someone reported a kidnapping at this address. We were already positioned before you even arrived. Daniel looked at Catherine, who was holding Emma against her chest. Their eyes met and she gave a faint smile. I managed to send a message to Sarah before he took us. She called the police. Thomas screamed as he was dragged away. You destroyed everything. Everything. Daniel didn't respond. He simply held his family tighter. 6 months after the trial that sentenced Thomas to 20 years in prison, the Harper family's life had found a new rhythm. It was not the same life as before, nor did it try to be. It was something different, built on truth and second chances. Catherine went through additional months of therapy. The emotional scars of the lost years did not disappear, but she learned to live with them. Some memories never fully returned, small pieces of her former life that were gone forever. She made peace with that. I'm not the same person I was before the accident, she said to Daniel one night, the two of them sitting on the porch watching Emma play in the garden. And that's okay. Maybe I'm someone better now. Someone who understands the value of every moment. Daniel held her hand. They had renewed their vows 2 weeks earlier, a small intimate ceremony with only close friends and family. Emma was the flower girl, radiant in her blue dress. I passed right by you on that street, Daniel confessed, something that still haunted him. When Emma saw you for the first time, my instinct was to keep going. I almost didn't stop the car. Catherine squeezed his fingers. But you stopped. That's what matters. Because of Emma. She knew. She always knew. Children see with their hearts, not their eyes, Catherine smiled. She recognized me when I didn't even know who I was. Emma ran up to them, holding a yellow flower she had picked. Mommy, look. It's the color of the sun. Catherine took the flower and tucked it into her daughter's hair. My ray of sunshine. Are you going to sing tonight? Emma asked hopefully. Catherine had started singing again, not professionally like before, but at small charity events. Tonight would be special. A concert to raise funds for people experiencing homelessness, a cause that now carried deep personal meaning. That night, the small theater was packed. Catherine stepped onto the stage wearing a simple white dress, no heavy makeup or elaborate production. Just her, a microphone and a piano. A few months ago, I was invisible to the world, she began, her voice echoing in the attentive silence. I lived on the streets of this city, lost inside my own mind. People passed by me every day. Some tossed coins. Others looked away. I was just another face in the sea of the forgotten. She paused, finding Daniel and Emma's gaze in the front row. But a 6-year-old girl saw me. Truly saw me. And she refused to move on until her father stopped and looked too. Her voice trembled. That child saved me. Not because she had money or resources, but because she chose to see my humanity when it would have been easier to ignore it. The theater was absolutely silent. Today I sing for all those who are invisible. For those who have lost their way, their identity, their hope. And I sing to remind all of us that behind every face on the streets there is a story, a family, a heart that is still beating. She began to play. The first notes of You Are My Sunshine filled the space. But this time, it was not a song of sorrow. It was an anthem of survival, of love that persists beyond memory, of hope that refuses to die. When she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Emma ran up onto the stage and hugged her mother. Daniel joined them, and the three of them stood there together under the spotlights, a family that had crossed hell and found its way back. In the months that followed, Daniel turned part of his fortune into concrete action. He opened shelters with specialized psychological care, reintegration programs, and professional training. Not as distant charity, but as a personal mission. Catherine worked with him, coordinating music therapy and support groups. We could have avoided all of this, Daniel said one afternoon, reviewing plans for a new center. If I had paid attention to the signs with Thomas. If I had been less confident, less blind. We can spend our whole lives on what if, Catherine replied. Or we can use what we've learned to make a difference now. Emma entered the office, now 9 years old, taller and even more determined. Daddy, Mommy, I finished my school project. I wrote about people who make a difference. I wrote about you. She showed them the project. On the cover, a simple drawing, 3 figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. Daniel felt tears sting his eyes. He had been a man who measured success in numbers, in tangible achievements, in power. Now he understood that true wealth wasn't in vaults or investments. It was right there in that moment, in that embrace of 3. Do you know what I learned, Emma? Daniel asked, kneeling to his daughter's level. I learned that the most important people in our lives sometimes appear in the most unexpected places. And that stopping, really stopping to see someone, can change everything. Emma smiled. I always knew it was Mommy. My heart knew. You taught me to listen to my heart too, Daniel confessed. That night, it rained. A gentle spring rain that washed over the city. Instead of taking shelter, the 3 of them went out into the garden. They let the rain fall on them, wash away all the pain, all the loss, all the suffering. Catherine began to sing. Daniel and Emma joined her. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. And as they sang in the rain, embraced and soaked, Daniel understood the final lesson. Life was not about avoiding storms, but about learning to dance in the rain. It was about choosing to see, choosing to stop, choosing to love even when the world tells you to move on. Because sometimes, the people we need most are right in front of our eyes. And all we need to do is stop and truly look. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Leave a comment telling us what you thought and which city or country you're watching from. Your participation keeps stories like this alive. Until the next story that will move you. The rain kept falling. And the Harper family kept singing, finally whole.